All right. Well, good morning, everybody. So I am going to be sharing a quick presentation, what I'm going to be doing. So if you guys have questions along the way, just go ahead and type them in the chat, and we will. Um, I'll do my best to answer you guys as best as I can along the way. Okay, where am I from, Beth? I am in Lafayette, Indiana. So glad that you could join us. All right. So let me share my screen here real quick. Where did my share button go? Good God, where did everything move around to on Zoom? All right, here we go. Okay, can I get a thumbs up if you guys are seeing this okay? All right. No? Can you guys see this? Yes. All right. Thanks, Keisha. Okay. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing Insider Secrets? What are you seeing? Yeah, okay. All right. Normally there's a green, what in the world has happened? There's normally a green line around that so I can actually see it, but I'm not seeing that right now. Okay. So you're just otherwise you guys are going to be looking at the wrong thing for a long time. All right. So the insider marketing secrets, what this is, again, what we're looking at doing here is taking a strategic approach to managing your life and your business. And this is about insider marketing secrets. This is stuff that I have learned that I haven't shared widely with you guys yet because it was like when I would learn it, I would stop and think, okay, is this thing even something that is it relevant? Is it something that's necessary? Is it something that's just another flash in the pan? So there's lots of different marketing stuff, marketing things that I have seen out there, and some of it is it worthwhile doing? Is another rabbit that I'm just chasing? What is this all stuff for? So if you're looking to grow your business, regardless of what the business is, this is going to be important for you to watch. So who is this for? This is for business owners and entrepreneurs who are confused by marketing. Who are you? Right? If I had three hands, I would put them all up, right? It's such a confusing world out there right now. And this is the thing that I want you to understand about, if you are confused by marketing, you're in the right spot. Also, for those of you who are performing random acts of marketing, and you may know who I am. Did you want your note? Sorry, your note taker was here. Um, Keisha, your note taker was being very obnoxious about coming in the room. Like, okay, I will let you in finally. Um, okay, requesting to record this meeting. I'm going to decline it because I'm going to send you the recording afterwards. Okay. All right. So very good. Um, Okay, so what I'm going to do, so for those of you who are performing these random acts of marketing, what I'm talking about here is the the different things that come along like, oh, hey, you should be posting 5 times a day, right? You should be doing all this different stuff. You need to be networking. You need to be going on stages. You need to be doing all this different stuff, but none of it is a cohesive aligned strategy. So that's what, for those of you who might be feeling like, oh, Mark, you're speaking to my soul here, that's exactly who this is for. And I'm only telling you because I've done the same exact things that you're doing, right? You're confused by, you're confusing social media posting for marketing. And that's not the same thing. And I'm not suggesting that it is not, doesn't have value, but you need to recognize that social media posts serve a different purpose than necessarily that marketing does. And the type of marketing that I like to do specifically is is direct response marketing. So when you're looking at direct response specifically has it's asking you to do a very, very specific thing. Okay. So that's where I'm saying for you guys, that when you're, whatever it is that you're doing, um, I want you to start to think like, hey, I don't want just you confuse social media posting for all this different types of marketing that you're doing, right? It's not the same thing. And I will just let you know that I get why it's confusing because I will tell you when I got started, I was told by, some very successful people online that all I needed to do, air quotes, was blindly follow this system and money would come pouring in. The problem was when something didn't quite work the way it was supposed to work, and I didn't understand enough to know about the system, I didn't know where to adjust. So I felt like I'd been sold a, like my car wasn't running right. Hold on a second, someone's coming in. I feel like I was sold a $50,000 vehicle and all of a sudden when it stopped running right, I didn't know how to diagnose the problem because I didn't understand the car, right? So there I am having this really expensive vehicle and I'm stuck on the side of the road and there was no one there to help me. So when I would put up these different posts or different ads and the ads weren't converting, I didn't know why. So I've spent a lot of time putting up ads and I'm like, why isn't this working? Like this should work. I'm following the recipe, right? Like I'm like this is the recipe for good cookies and these cookies suck. Right? Why isn't this working? So I really had to get really deep on several different areas of marketing and that's what I'm going to share with you here in a little bit. So these are all the insider marketing secrets. So when I'm talking about insider marketing secrets, these are people who I'm learning from that I'm going, "Oh, that's why when I did this, that didn't work." And all of a sudden I would test it. And for those of you, you might be seeing me doing lots of new stuff out there that I didn't have, that I wasn't doing in the past. So for those of you, hey, Corey, I'm glad you could join us. Corey, let us know where you're from and what kind of business you're in. So when you're out there doing different types of marketing and you're like, well, why isn't this working? This is what I'm about to tell you. So I just want you to understand that what we're going to be learning over the next 12 weeks is not just what to do, but why you need to do it and how it works. And the reason why is because at the end of the 12 weeks, I don't want you to like, hey, sign up for another 12 weeks. I want to make sure that I'm leaving you on a good trajectory for that, right? So you've got new information, so you can take that information and go, okay, yes, Mark said that when this was broken, when this wasn't doing this, I need to do this other thing, right? I need to change this, right? Washington, D.C., you're selling insurance. Okay, very good. Glad you could join us. So these are all the insider marketing secrets around, all the different things that you've been told to do differently and why this matters, right? Why this makes a big difference. So the thing that is interesting, and this is what I want to show you with the agenda today, is first and foremost, I'm going to talk about the systems component. Now, again, for some of you who have seen me talking in various different things, different presentations, different things, like this is going to be a bit of an overview, right? So it's going to be a bit of a review. So give me just a little bit of grace and I'm going to land the plane. I'll put the fries in the bag at the very end so you'll understand how this is all going to tie together. Because again, I can't help but be a strategist. I'm not going to come in, just start throwing up tactics all over you if I don't put it in the context of strategy. So some of you, please just give me a little bit of grace as I'm going through this so you understand what this is. So we're going to be first and foremost going through the systems, right? This is because there's two different components related to business. There's the systems component and there's the psychology component. So we're going to go through the systems component first. Then we're going to understand the psychology, and I'm going to walk through the psychology in terms of internal psychology, external psychology, buying psychology, personal psychology, and things like that. The four core functions of business, which have to be true in every business, and then you've got the syllabus where we're going to talk about the syllabus specifically in terms of what the 12-week program is going to look like, and then where to go next, what to actually do next. So I'm just letting you know, yes, there will be an offer at the end of this. Several of you have already signed up already. Some of you are in the Inner Circle program, so you're already involved in it, so you don't have to, there's nothing to buy. But for those of you who are going to either see this on replay or are here today, I just want to let you know there will be an offer at the end, but there's not a link to buy anything. And I'm going to tell you why. I've got a link at the end that's going to have you fill out a survey. And that survey is and the reason why I'm doing the survey is because I don't want you buying something that isn't going to help solve a problem for you. I want you, like, if you buy something, I want to make sure, like, have any of us ever bought a course and then it did nothing with it? Okay. Not my course though, right, Keisha? Not mine, right? Okay. That's right. Just ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. But this is really important. Like, I don't want you just buying something and paying too much for something that you might not be ready for. So, like, and again, I have a high dollar offer. It's not like a $20,000 offer or something crazy like that, but it's a high dollar offer, and I don't want you just going in there, clicking the link and buying something that I'm like, dude, I don't know that you're ready for this. Right. So for me, it's not about the money. For me, it's about the impact. It's about the transformation. So I want to make sure that you're spending the right amount of money, which is in alignment with what it is that you're looking to do. All right, so let's talk about the business approach. So when it comes to a business approach, there is a systems component and there is a psychology component. So it's systems and psychology. Let's talk about the systems first. The systems piece is everything that I talked about in the Time Wealthy Advantage. So I know many of you on this call have already read the book. That's great. There's going to be a test at the end. I'm kidding. But there, no, many of you read the book. You know about the Viper methodology. It gets very granular in terms of everything I'm going to be talking about today. And the Viper methodology has that framework around vision, infrastructure, process, execution, and reporting. So I'm going through this rather quickly just so you understand. Again, this is an overview and it's somewhat of a review. If you want to go deeper on this, I've got some different trainings that you might be interested in. You can check those out on Eventbrite. Lauren, could you put the link up there for Eventbrite in case anybody, the general room, so people can log into that if they want. But here's the thing: if you're looking at visions, vision specifically is where you are wanting to go, right? And it's broken down into two main components: personal vision and business vision. When you're looking at personal vision is just going to ask you a very basic question: where do you want to go? Lauren, where do you want to go? Judy, where do you want to go? Right? You as an individual. It doesn't have anything to do with income generation. Okay, so that's the main component. um, Sorry, I am getting all sorts of chats here. Um, okay. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. So when you're looking at personal vision, you're thinking about where do you want to go? If you woke up with $30 million or 30 million pounds or 30 million euros in your bank account tomorrow, what would that look like? What would your day-to-day look like from a personal vision perspective? Okay. Your business vision is specifically how are we going to get there? All right. So you've got this business vision. Now you've got this personal vision defined. Now business vision is going to answer the question, how are you going to get there? So I just want you to, stop and think about that for just a hot second. Don't just jump over that and like, oh, I'll figure out that personal vision thing once I'm making 60 grand a month, or 100 grand a month, and then I'll worry about that personal vision thing, right? I'm telling you, I've been down that road and it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to because there's always going to be another thing that's going to fill it's just like an empty bucket. So I just want to make sure that you understand, take time now to get really clear about what type of life that you're trying, and like what is your vision for your marriage, for example? What is your vision for your relationship with children? What is your vision for your relationship with your best friend? What's your vision for your relationship with your faith with God, right? Like if that's important to you, it's important to me. Like it's really important that I have these things dialed in. Okay. So let's again, where do you want to go and then how are you going to get there? Now, this is the problem is when I speak to a lot of people who have a business vision defined but don't have a personal vision defined, is that the business vision in essence becomes the personal vision. And the danger in creating a business vision before ever considering a personal vision is that you end up creating a life that exists to serve the business. And I'm just letting you know that's an empty well. Like it just sucks. So I'll no more on personal vision. I want to move on to the business stuff, but when you're thinking about personal vision, I want you to think about that. Think about your 100th birthday speech. Who would you want to be in the room? What would you say? You're turning 100 years old. Think about that. Think about what you would want to say. Who would you want to be in the room? Think about what you would want others to say to you after you were done speaking. And then, what's the message you'd like to carry to, outside the room, when you're done speaking? What would you like people to say to you? Okay. So these are the sorts of things that I want you to consider in your personal vision. All right, so let's look at business vision. Business vision is really important. I want you to think of 3 C's of business vision, and that comes down to core purpose, core values, and client avatar. The core purpose of the business is specifically what business that you're in and what problems do you specifically solve. And it's important that you are highly specific in your answer. Because if you just kind of say, well, I do insurance. Oh, okay, so you can underwrite my left arm. You're like, oh no, that's like maybe Barclays can do that, but I don't do that. I do property and casualty. Okay, that's the kind of like specifically who. So do you property and casualty all over the United States? No, I only do it in like you do insurance, right? Okay, yeah, but I'm sorry, I thought you did insurance anywhere. No, well, can you do insurance in Orlando, Florida? Well, no, I'm licensed in Ohio. Okay. Then it's really important you get really, really specific. And then you start dialing these in terms of what specific purpose that you do, almost to the exclusion of what you don't do, right? So we'll land that there. We get deeper in the 3 C's of business vision: core purpose, core values, and client avatar in week 1. So we're going to come back to a lot of this stuff, but core values is what matters to you about this business and how would the world be worse off if you are no longer in business. Stop and just listen to me for just a second, okay? Core values is I this is the thing that most people have difficulty actually doing because they don't do it. Most of you in here have a set of you operate within a set of core values. All of you in here operate within a set of core values. I can tell you for the people that I know in this room, many of you align with my core values. That's why you're here. Some of you won't, and that's okay, right? But the thing is, it's important that you take the time to define your core values because if you're trying to create a business, core values and company culture are inextricably linked. Okay. And because there's a link between core values and company culture, there's also an inextricable link between company culture and brand, right? The company brand. So if you think about a company that has a very strong brand, they have, I promise you, a very strong company culture. And that is why they have the following that they do. Oh my God, it took me yeah, it took me forever. Yeah, it took me forever to move on. Yeah, core values. Sorry, Lauren. I was trying to figure out what you're saying. Yeah, it does. It takes a while to do this. And that's why this is important to take time to do this. So we will be doing this and this will be the full portion of week 1. And then the last piece here is client avatar. And let me just make one other point about core values here is that the core values are going to attract the customers that you most want to work with. So these are people like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with these people? Right? No, you don't want customers like that, but you also want to make sure that if you're going to have employees or even vendors that are working for you, you want them to be in alignment with your core values because the problem, I promise you that if they're representing your company, if your core values are not defined, they will be defined by the strongest personality that's in the room. And that's part of organizational psychology that you need to start to consider if you really are going to take an end run at this business and you really want to scale it to something special. So let's look at let's look at client avatar. Client avatar is specifically and ideally who you want to work with. I kind of alluded to it a little bit ago when we were talking about core purpose about, hey, you're an insurance broker who does property and casualty in Orlando, Florida. Okay, I can deal with that. Do you work with homeowners? Yes, I really like working with homeowners. Do you like working with property managers? Not so much. Not that I won't, but my target avatar is really I like working with individual homeowners who have properties in Orlando, Florida, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great, right? That's it. That's an avatar that I can get around. And I would also argue, are these snowbirds? Are these people who are residents there that live there full, year round? You can carve this up in any number of ways. And why is that important? Because you want to break them down to geographics, demographics, and psychographics. Geographics is where they are, demographics is who they are, and psychographics is how they think. And that's really important to know how they think, especially when you start thinking in psychographics about, use the acronym ALIA, ALIA, their attitudes, their lifestyles, their interests, and their aspirations. If I knew that Keisha is, let's say that I knew she was interested in volleyball, okay? And I might know that I would send her a clip around, hey, there's the volleyball finals that were coming up, for whatever out of Toledo because that's where they're from. And I knew they're like, oh, cool. I really like to go to this sort of thing. If I know that Greg is really into rodeos, right? I could know, like, I might be able to market to something or at least send him something that's valuable around that. If I knew Corey was interested in, let's say he was a gun guy. Well, in Washington, D.C., I don't know that you can be a gun guy, but I'm a gun guy. I'm in the Midwest, right? I'm a gun guy, I like guns. And I was going to share a link with him around, hey, did you see this new Sig Sauer that came out? He might be, yeah, cool, right? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's important to know their interests and so you can reach them in different ways. So this is why this is important to understand their attitudes, their lifestyles, their interests, and their goals and aspirations, right? So you can understand their goals, you can understand their interests, so you can reach them in a way that is organic. So you can reach them in a way that builds trust. That's what we're looking for, is we're looking to build a trust dividend, not a trust tax. So that is the 3 C's of business vision. Again, I'm going to have to put the fries in the bag on this one for right now, but this is what we're going to spend the entire week 1 in the 12-week challenge. So that's vision. Personal vision, business vision. Let's talk about infrastructure a little bit. Infrastructure is just the bones of the business. It's the desks, the chairs, the software. It's just basic stuff that you would expect to see in business infrastructure, right? There's really not much more to this, and there will be infrastructure components that we will need to build around our marketing. Why is that? because the infrastructure components, like your guys are trying to do all this stuff manually and it takes too much time. Like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So like you're like, oh, well, I really need to go on CapCut and carve up these videos that I'm making, and that could take you like 9 hours to come up with like a couple of videos, and that's like a day's worth of videos. Are you kidding me? Right? You need to find certain automations that can do certain things for you, and I'm going to show you different things that you can do. Okay, so again, this is why infrastructure has to be baked in the cake when you're looking at your marketing. So, you might be thinking, well, why does vision come first? Is it because of the, it just makes a nice little Viper method? No, vision comes first because you're going to be building an infrastructure that's in alignment with your vision, right? Because again, if your vision is to lay on the beach in Spain rubbing cocoa butter on your belly for 2 months out of the year, you want to make sure, right? Maybe not be a great visual, but it's a good vision. But the thing is, if you want to lay on the beach rubbing cocoa butter on your belly, that's really important for you to have that in alignment, right? So your infrastructure, you're going to be building an infrastructure that's in alignment with your vision. So in terms of that, now we're going to be looking at we talked infrastructure, vision, infrastructure. Now we're looking at process. Process is simply how you do stuff, right? It's basically the tactical. You got tactical process and you got strategic process. Tactical is your day-to-day stuff, right? Your standard operating procedures, your checklists, things like that, your day-to-day activities. When you're looking at your infrastructure and tactical process, that's the system that you're creating. That's the system, right? Infrastructure and tactical process. That's the day-to-day stuff. That's the battleship. That's the warship that you just built. Okay. The strategic part of the process is now you're going to take this boat, you're going to take this warship, and you're going to take it out of the harbor because you want to take this system and go do something with it, right? You need to go find customers. You need to go mix it up a little bit. You need to go out in the world, right? Explore. That's what strategic planning does. And strategic planning has three different components to it, and that is people, purpose, and promotion. I'm not going to get super deep on these today, but this in your marketing piece is really important, especially when you have a strategic plan. This is the promotional piece that we're talking about today, because you're here to learn about the 12 weeks of marketing, right? You want to understand these insider marketing secrets. So when you start understanding the promotion piece, promotion isn't just external though. You might think, well, promotion is letting the world know what I'm doing, right? Promotion is also promoting it to your internal people, like the people that are also doing the work internally for you. You're like, well, I don't have any employees. Yeah, but you may have some vendors, and it would be important for you to tell them, "Hey, look, I'm going to be doing a marketing push. What's your capacity for fulfillment on this aspect?" Like, "Oh yeah, I've got capacity. Awesome, because I might be sending you a lot of referrals here lately. I just want to make sure you can keep up." Awesome. I appreciate you telling me that. That's someone internal, right? It would also, if you've got a staff, someone who answers the phone, hey, wouldn't it be important for them to know that you're doing a marketing push? Right? Hey, I'm calling about your new widget. And they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're like, oh my God. Right? So one of the things that we're talking about there is a conversion tool. And so when you're thinking about this, it's important that when you're marketing, and we're going to talk about this during the pre-launch, which I think is week 8, week 8 or week 9, that's when you really understand the pre-launch, that you have your conversion tools already set up. Because if your conversion tool is like today, for example, I already told you what my conversion tool is. Did you pay attention? What's my conversion tool? You can unmute. What's the conversion tool for today? What did I tell you it was? Was it a QR code that you're going to click on?
The
No?
survey.
The survey. That's exactly right, Judy. Judy, you get a gold sticker. I will mail that to you. Maybe. You could put it on your fridge. So, but it's the survey. The survey is the conversion tool. And that conversion tool it leads to a survey where you're going to fill this whole thing out. It's got conversation and it's going to have um there's information in there, because I don't want you buying something that I want you to buy. Like I'm not just sending you a QR code and go, cool, I wonder who bought the big ticket thing. I wonder who spent the least amount of money. Like that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in transformation. I'm interested in the appropriate level of your investment to how fast and how quickly you want to move the needle, right? And you might not be ready to move the needle that fast. It just depends. Okay. So this is all strategic planning, people, purpose, and promotion. So that's landing the plane on process. So we talked about vision, infrastructure, process. Now let's talk about execution. Execution has to be defined because if you don't define what things you're going to do, this quote by General Patton is perfect. A good plan violently executed now is better than the perfect plan next week. And if you don't ever define the things like that you specifically purposefully need to do, you will not do the things you're supposed to be doing, right? You're going to be very um um hang on one second here. Sorry, I got someone joining us. Wait 1 second. Okay. Steve, you with us? All right, there's Steve. All right. Glad you could join us, Steve. So this whole part about execution, why is this important? Well, the reason this is important is because most plans fall apart in execution. And if you are like just running around like hither and yon doing all these different things like most busy business owners and entrepreneurs because you have all these different ideas and you're trying to do everything all at once, the problem is you're falling apart in execution because you haven't defined the most important things that have to get done. And I'm just telling you now, like, if you're looking to grow your business, 60 to 70% of your daily activity has to be around lead generation activities. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. And I'm not saying that you need to be the one that's doing it. That's why you need help. That's why you need other people. That's why you need automations, right? And not only AI. Don't rely only on AI to do your marketing for you, to do your automations. People are dying. But let me ask you guys something. Let's press pause on this little tutorial here for just a second. The people who have the highest followings in social media or just in general, let's say that if you've ever met like an actor or someone super famous, right? What are the things that people most say about the ones, especially the ones that are most compelling? What do they say about them? They were what? What about them?
Authentic.
They're authentic. They're down to earth, right? And that is, I'm telling you, the world is more and increasingly trustworthy. That's right. Not they were trustworthy, but they were authentic. They were like you felt like you could trust who they were, right? We'll say that another way, Lauren. So they were authentic. And when you feel that someone's authentic, when someone comes on and like, I mean, the whole humble bragging thing, thank God, is going away. Because like, oh, I'm just so pretty. I don't know how to do like I don't know how to handle my life. I'm so pretty, right? Really? Like you're gonna get a fist in your eye by some other woman, right? Because like the people can't stand that stuff, right? It's like, you know, it's like the mom that pretends all of her things are put together and she walks outside and she's got two different color socks on because she got dressed in the dark because she didn't want to wake up her newborn, right? That sort of thing's like, oh my gosh, right? That's something we can all laugh about. Or have you ever worn two different pairs of shoes, right? You're like, oh, that, like one shoe, like it's close, but it's not the same, right? These are the sorts of things that people can, if it's done in an authentic way, we can all laugh about it, right? Those are the people that we really are interested in, right? Is that that authenticity. There's a few people who I follow online who I really like, but their online personality does not match up with who they are as a real person. I would send them a message and they don't message back. And I'm like, come on, man. Like we know we've been around each other. Like you should be messaging me back. Like or at least just say super busy, sorry, whatever. There's an influencer I know who's got well over 400,000 followers and she and I are friends. And I messaged her real quick and said, "Hey, I know you're busy. I don't expect a response back. I had this thing I wanted to share with you. I thought that could be beneficial to you." And she said, "Super busy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it." That was it. 7 words. Just acknowledge something, right? She's super authentic and I really, really like her brand. There's someone else who does the same thing, same scenario, and she doesn't message anybody back. And I'm like, come on, right? It's like even if you had someone else doing that, that would make a big difference. And people, I'm just telling you, the days of people being inauthentic is over. Like thank God that is going the way of the buggy whip because people just they are dying for authenticity. So I'm just letting you know, like this is why when you're executing, people want to see your authentic self, and that's really really important. So again, getting back to this, like when you have too many priorities, it has the same impact as having no priorities, right? And this is why you have to boil it down to your daily five. A daily five is up to 5 very specific things that you're going to do to move the needle towards your strategic plan or your business or personal vision. That's really important. Because if you don't have these 5 activities planned, that's how you wind up with a to-do list of 37 items that you're going to do today. Right, Keisha? Right, Ryan? Right, Lauren. Right, Greg. Right, Mark. Because I'm here to self-indict as well. I looked at my to-do list yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, I have got so many things to do. I have got to figure out what I need to do today. And I did. And I ended up working a little bit late. Yesterday was my 53rd birthday. And my wife is going, dude, when you coming home? We kind of want to see you. And I was like, I'm working on it, I promise, right? And I had a couple things I needed to do because of was my Friday thing. But I did. I got all of my stuff done because I broke it down early in the day to my daily 5. Now, for me, I work better with a daily 3. I work better with a daily 3. Daily 5 for me, I'm maxed out. And so I cannot do a daily 5 every single day. So I'm just letting you know that's for me. Oh, thank you, Judy. Yes. And this is where you all go, wow, you don't look anywhere near 53. Thank you. Appreciate that. So when you're looking at daily 5, again, this is up to 5. So again, identify the needle moving activities, and these are the things that you want to do every single day. All right. So that's the E in the execution. The R in the reporting function. This just lets you know between your lead metrics and your lag metrics, based on the lead metrics are based on your actions and your activities. That's it. You need to measure that stuff and you need to know what it is that you're doing. Your lag metrics are simply the results of those actions and activities, right? You need to have this stuff very well defined in terms of what it is that you're doing, right? So that's the Viper methodology. Let's look at the psychology. So we talked about systems. Now we're going to talk about psychology. So systems are great, but systems are only going to get you so far. And they're important because they offer stability, they offer consistency, they offer accountability, but they are limited. They are limited because making subjective decisions is difficult for systems. It's also difficult when adapting to market changes. Now I know we're in this whole new world of AI. I get it, but I'm still telling you that the human brain, as much as it can be tried to be replicated, there's just certain things that it's just not like in terms of, especially about creativity. Use AI as a tool, not as a crutch. So I'm just saying systems are great, but they are limited. Especially coming up with creative solutions and coming up and maintaining human connections. Human connections. How many of you have ever gotten an email from me and said, oh, that's an automation? Pretty rare. I don't send a lot of automated ones, right? But I do send them on occasion, right? The old ones. How many of them can you, when you get an email that says, oh, that's Mark, right? So yes, I don't do a lot of automations, right? Keisha's been with me for a while. So she's seen some automations, but I also recognize that people are just so burned out from automations. Like, and you ever seen an automation where the name gets screwed up and they're like, dear subject, and it's like, dear person, right? They didn't even get your name right, or they put your last name in, dear Dolfini. I'm like, oh my gosh, man. So this is what I'm saying. Like, automations are fine, but you got to recognize that in terms of maintaining and developing those human connections, people are looking for authenticity. They're looking for, let's face it, we can all tell the difference between a real email and an automation. Let's face it, right? They look different. They feel different. Okay. So even sometimes when I send an email out that's a copy and paste, I still try to say, hey, I hope Steve, like, hey, Steve, I hope things are good. I know you're spending the next couple weeks in Maine, right? And then the rest of it might be copy and paste, but at least I try to make it like, oh, this is Mark the human, at least recognizing that it's a human connection. I'm like, hey, apologize for the copy and paste, but I just wanted to get this information over to you, right? Makes sense. So this is why it's important to recognize the human connection. So let's talk about psychology. When in terms of psychology, now, right now, many of you know, I went back to school. Right now, I'm pursuing my PhD in organizational psychology. And the reason for that is because I recognize that I from a personal psychology and a business and organizational psychology, you've got this individual personal side of psychology, and then you've got this business and organizational side of psychology over here. They are not the same things, not even remotely the same things. Because when you're looking at personal psychology, you're looking at all these individual problems around self-worth and self-management and limiting beliefs and all of the head trash that we carry around. I'm not ripping on people that have legitimate, psychological issues. I'm saying then we need to work on them. We need to build, we need to work on our personal psychology, right? So I'm just saying, like, I have tons of limiting beliefs and self-worth issues and self-management and self-leadership issues that I had to fix myself. And I've got tools in my toolbox for me that I'm happy to share with you. I'm not a psychologist, right? Not yet, but I'm just saying I'm not even when I get my psychology to, PhD, I'm not going to be a clinical psychologist. I'm going to be an organizational psychologist so I can look at business stuff, but I'm still going to have tools in my toolbox to say, "Hey, here's a couple of tools that worked for me," right? And let's walk through those. Okay? So when you're looking at business psychology, now we're looking at internal and external. So let's look at business psychology specifically. When you're looking at internal and external business psychology, internal psychology is the things like management and leadership. And management is about getting things done. And leadership is about setting priorities and making decisions and aligning to a common message and purpose. So if you're trying to grow your organization, okay, if you're trying to grow your organization, that is going to require change. Things will have to be different. And if you are trying to grow, things will be different, things will change, and leadership is what manages that change. Okay? So when you're looking at external business psychology, you're talking working with your vendors. We're talking about politics. Ugh, I don't like. I want to deal with politics. I'm just letting you know that there's a component to psychology about dealing with specifically with politics. And you also have to understand buying psychology. So when talking vendor relations, you're talking relationships and negotiations. Politics definitely becomes a factor as you scale, as you become a larger and larger employer in your community. I'm just telling you, that's the reality. When I was employing 12 people in my property management company, trust and know I had a lot of people beating down my door who wanted to put political yard signs in the front of my business because I'm right on Main Street, well, not on Main Street, but I'm on a main street right by Main Street. And there's a lot of traffic that goes by here every single day. So this is really important. So when you start understanding buying psychology and buyer psychology, this is about how people make buying decisions. Remember we talked about ALIA before, ALIA, attitudes, lifestyles, interests, and aspirations. That's where this is starting to come into play in terms of psychology. So this is really important. So we talked about systems, we talked about psychology. I again, just as this is just an overview. I'm not going to teach you much about this. I'm just letting you know we're understanding when we get into buying psychology, we're going to start talking about that in week 2. So in the 4 core functions, this is going to be true for every business. And again, you guys have heard me talk about this before: lead generation, sales, operations, and accounting. And the customer's journey happens in that order. First lead generation, then sales and operations, then accounting. That's really important because if you don't understand how the lead generation function works, and it should operate continuously through all 4 functions, not just in the beginning. If you really want, and this is something that I refer to as the infinite marketing concept, this infinite marketing system is what I talk about in week 12, so that you can put together all these different things that go on that continuously go on. So you're not always having to go out and hunt for new prospects. Yes, granted, you want to have a mechanism that brings in new prospects, but you always want to continue maintaining the relationship with the people who align with your core values. Okay? So that's really important. So we talked about we talked about systems, psychology, we talked about the 4 core functions. Now let's talk about the syllabus, okay? And this is about the type of growth that you guys are wanting and growing in a controlled and measured way. So you don't want it growing and where it metastasizes into something that's unhealthy. So let's talk about lead generation. Lead generation is specifically on targeting your what? Your client avatar. Where did you hear? Go ahead and unmute. Where did you hear someone other than Judy Walsh? Come on, right? I know there's other people out there. So other than Judy Walsh, right? Judy, I love you, but just give it someone else because Judy has been a very good student. Where have you heard about client avatar already? Where have you heard me talk about client avatar? Oh, Judy, it might have to be you in the 3 C's of business vision, right? The 3 C's of business vision: core purpose, core values, client avatar. This is where it starts to come full circle. So this is why it's so important for you to have this defined around targeting your client avatar. Okay. Listen, I have done this. This is like my master's thesis. So trust and know, I know this stuff backwards and forwards. Like it is very well dialed in. So when you're targeting your client avatar, when I have my client avatar dialed in and I know specifically who I like working with married business owners who have kids at home that are in business for themselves. Generally, they tend to be in the trades, right? They tend to be in real estate, but not always. But generally, they're in the service industry. They have coffee shops, they have roofing businesses, they are bookkeepers, right? And sometimes they're coaches, but generally they're in the service industry. And these are the types of people that I work with. If they're in manufacturing, not the best fit. Not saying it can't be, not it's not saying it doesn't work. It's just saying for me it's not the best fit, right? So I'm just but I like people in the service industry, so that works out really really well. So I know exactly who it is that I want to work with, and guess what? It's much easier for me to direct my marketing towards those folks because I know what they're interested in. I know their attitudes, I know their lifestyles, I know their interests, I know their aspirations. That's Aaliyah. That's client avatar. All right. So again, this is about understanding buying psychology. These are the people that bring me the most amount of money with the least amount of drama. Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but in my 53 years, my tolerance for drama is bottomed out. I have none. No tolerance for drama. Right. Of course, I'm raising a 3-year-old girl right now. I think my drama days are ahead. But for at least for now, I Keisha and Ryan have 2 daughters, and they're how old? They're 13 and 15. Are they that old?
No, I'll say 12 and 10 because their birthdays are next month.
Oh,
So,
okay, okay, gotcha. Okay, so all right, so they're very close to their birthdays, 12 and 10. All right,
yeah.
so that not quite in the teen years, but you're.
But yeah, I think now teen years start probably about 9. So, yeah.
It's dog years now, right?
Yeah,
It's dog
yeah,
years. Yeah.
absolutely.
Judy says, "Buckle up, it's coming." Yeah, Judy has a you have a daughter and a son, right, Judy?
Yes, I have a 19-year-old girl and a 21-year-old young man.
Yes. Okay. So there's that. It's coming. Yeah, we'll all just light a candle for you. All right. So all of this is around understanding buying psychology. And so this is around the 4 core functions of business. All right. So these are the 15 things. You guys have heard me talk about this before. 15 reasons why people buy. Think of all the different ways of how you can help people make money, save time, avoid effort, escape pain, have more comfort, have better health, feel more love, gain praise, increase their status. How you can help them see truth, how you can help them experience growth, how you can help them, you're offering them something of novelty, be in more control or perceived control, and then of course be in contribution to others. That's really important, especially dialing in on that in terms of buying psychology. So everything that you do needs to support your lead generation function. Everything. Because you can have the best, most efficient business. You can be a paragon of virtue. Your sales technique is so dialed in, you can sell ice to Eskimos and voting booths to Castro, and you can still starve. That's the truth. So you can never take your foot off the gas when it comes to lead generation. That's the infinite marketing system that we talked about in week 12. So in terms of lead generation activities, that's why I said 60 to 70% of your actions and activities around lead generation need to be around lead generation if you're looking to grow your company. Even if you're looking to maintain your company, it's probably got to be close to half. So I'm just saying like 60 to 70% of your actions and activities need to be around lead generation. So sales just continues the conversation started by the lead generation function. I'm happy if you guys are wanting to do one-to-one coaching with me. There is a one-to-one coaching component in this session, in the 12 weeks. And you want to talk about your sales technique, that's probably needs to be a little bit more specific. And that's something that I would suggest engage in the one-to-one coaching at a minimum. That's the middle level that you'll see here coming up. If it's just you're just going to do the group stuff, I'm not going to be doing much sales training specifically in this because it's really around lead generation, right? Lead generation and marketing. Now, I'm not so people confuse like sales with lead generation. No, lead gen is different than sales. Sales is closing the loop that started with the lead generation. Now, there are salespeople who do their own lead gen, right? But they are definitely not the same thing. So this is understanding that effective selling is it's about finding solutions, not holding people's heads underwater until they say yes. So if you feel icky for the making the ask, let's you and I talk. If you feel like you just don't know how to land the plane when it comes to selling, you have that bad relationship with money. You're like, oh, here comes the ask, right? Right. You're starting to choke. It's got something to do with obviously personal psychology, but it's also got something to do with your sell, how you're doing the sell, right? How you're doing the sale itself. You're not producing, you're not generating enough value early on. That's the thing. That's in terms of lead generation and sales. If you're getting operations, this is the operational function, the fulfillment function. If you're getting stuck, this is generally where you're going to get stuck. You're going to get stuck being the roofer. You're going to be stuck doing the IT. You're going to get stuck doing, whatever it is. Right. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to get stuck, this is generally where people get stuck. And then generally in the accounting function, if you're going to ignore something, this is generally what you ignore is the accounting function, right? You like say things like, well, I got more money in my bank account this month than last month. I must be doing okay, right? Now I have a degree in accounting. My bachelor's is in accounting, and I've said that. So trust and no judgment. I'm just telling you that's why you generally ignore these things. Now you have to stop and think, are all these things the same skills? No, they're not the same skill set. That's why you need some help, right? You need someone other than you to do these things. So you're not going to have enough time to do all these things. So if you want to grow, again, you have the right systems in place. You have to have great leadership, the great understanding, the psychology. Your lead generation actions have to have 60 to 70%, dialed into what it is that you're doing in terms of your actions and activities. They need to be around lead generation. And you have to hire and develop great leaders, bringing in and understanding the psychology of having people that are not just workers, but people who bringing in that are aligned with your core values, that are bringing in other people that with them because they are leaders in and among themselves. So let's talk about the 12-week challenge. So in week one, this is now I've got this syllabus already built out. So as things go through and we start evolving, like this training is going to be very different than any other 90-day challenge that I've ever done. Some of you have been with me for many 90-day challenges. Some of you have been through one or two. Some of you haven't been through any yet. And I'm saying this to the people that may see this video on replay. So I'm just letting you know that November 15th, that starts next week. The 3 C's of business vision, I mentioned that earlier on. I'm going to help you specifically dial in and get really clear on your core purpose. I'm going to help you develop your core values and your client avatar. And I have some worksheets that can help through this, but I'm telling you, if you don't take the time to do this, the rest of the 12 weeks you're going to struggle. So you really have to take the time to get this done. So if you want to get started, right, and we're in a coaching situation already, let's get started on this now. If you're not, I'm going to give you a link, fill that out. Let's get on the calendar. Let's start talking about it now because it's really important that you get this dialed in, especially with the core values, because that takes time. In week two, this is understanding buying psychology, right? And specifically the key to trust-based marketing, to trust-based lead generation, and getting more customers who trust you. And these are the people, right? And it's kind of funny. I had a great call with Keisha on Thursday night. It was kind of funny. Like my tribe, like I'm very protective of, right? So there's people who like come into my tribe and I'm like, no, I'm kind of protective of them, right? And if a new person wants to come in, I am kind of protective. I'm like, okay, well, let's have a conversation. Let's make sure that you're in alignment, right? It's Lauren says yes, right? So Lauren, yes, I'm very, and it's not because I'm like controlling. It's not that. It's just I care about them. I get to know. I don't just come on their front porch. I'm like in their living room, like I'm sitting at their kitchen table, right? I see you when you're sleeping. I know when you're awake, right? Like that. Thanks, Mark, for making it creepy. No, but it's not that. It's just that I care about you, and everybody in this tribe aligns with the core values, right? And the people who come and they don't see an alignment, they don't stay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Then let them find their own tribe where they will align. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But the thing is that understanding that buying psychology, and the thing is like if I hear someone say bad about something someone in my tribe, I'm gonna go to them and say, hey man, what's going on? Like I heard something. Is there any truth to this? What's going on? But trust and know if it wasn't true, I'm going back to that person and we're gonna box. Like there's gonna be, I'm gonna metaphorically throw hands, right? I'm just gonna say, what's going on, man? Like I don't like you attacking my folks, right? And trust and know when people may say things about me, which, I'm sure I've got my haters, my people are going to defend me. And it's really interesting to see that because of the trust that I have built with people. And I don't always get it right, but I do my very best to be human, to be authentic. So this is understanding. Would you love to have a tribe like that? Yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that, how to understand the buying psychology and how to build and create trust at a very deep level. So that's November 22nd. In week three, I can get my mouse to work here. In week 3, we're talking about the Godfather offer. Now, what's a Godfather offer? Come on. You want to say it. You want to say it. You can even say it in the voice if you like.
Make
What
him an offer they can't refuse.
an offer
I
they
can't
can't
do the voice
refuse.
though.
Well, they make you an offer you can't refuse, right? The reason why they can't refuse it is because they would feel like an idiot to say no. Like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me about this offer? You're giving me all this for that, right? That's why it's a Godfather offer. So I'm just letting you know, getting more customers to say yes, because they're gonna feel like an idiot to say no. They're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like this is a no-brainer. Okay. So that's week 3. Week 4 is December 6th is a powerful pricing strategy. Pricing really, really matters. I see a lot of people who put together pricing strategies that make 0 sense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why are you pricing it that way? Right? Well, I got to value myself. I'm like, yeah, but you have no customers, right? Or your pricing is just so off, it doesn't make sense, right? The value equation isn't there. And I will tell you this, that for the most part, if you're dealing with the avatar that has the right type of money, the right kind of money, that the budget isn't an issue. But value will always trump price. Value will always trump price, because the minute that I am providing value, or my price starts equaling my value, I'm on the chopping block. Trust and know that, right? And I'm just letting you know that's why it's important to know this. Almost done here. So week 5, we're gonna talk about copywriting, ad copywriting, and I think she had to jump out, but Kelsey was on the call here a few minutes ago, and I worked with her with copywriting. Lauren, we worked a little bit with copywriting. And Greg, I go Greg, yeah, oh my gosh, we worked a lot with copywriting, and and writing effective ad copy that converts, that gets read, that people will know, and there's a real science behind it, and it's not just persuasive writing that you learned in 11th grade, and that's not that. It's very different. Testing hooks. So hooks are about how you get people's attention early on, right? Now you can write something that's like, you know, some sort of bad word, right? Let's just say shit, and you're like, oh, like that gets people's attention. It's like, cool. Now that I've got your attention, let me tell you about life insurance. You're like, really? Okay, want want. Like that's not going to work, right? So you want to have a hook that drives people in, that draws curiosity in terms of why people are going to run, and how to test that. And I'm just telling you now that there's a scientific way of doing that. You have to make it pretty, right? And because this is something that Sam Walton understood, and this is why Walmart does so well, is they understand merchandising. Merchandising is making things look pretty. And it was really funny in his book, Made in America. He's like, I could sell anything if I hang it from the ceiling. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty funny, right? You hang things, something, you put something up high, you hang it from the ceiling, and that, because he understood merchandising, and he understood it at a very deep level. So we're going to be talking about that, making it pretty using online tools to help that. January 3rd is the pre-launch, and this is about, is everything ready? Like we talked about your conversion tools. We talked about all the different things. Do you have that lined up and ready for your actual launch, for your marketing campaign? And then week 9, we're actually doing the campaign launch. Today, let's make sure we've got everything ready to go, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay. So once everything is together, now you don't have to necessarily follow this. Again, if you're doing one-on-one coaching, we can advance this. We can make it a little bit faster. But I'm just letting you know this is the syllabus. January 17th is tracking and adjustment. So I'm just letting you know your launch is probably going to fail. It just is, right? Why? You're like, well, great. That's fantastic news. Guess what? 90% of my launches fail. But the 10% that actually work, they do really, really well. And that's true for most marketing. That's what they won't tell you. That's the secret. Like what I didn't understand early on was when I didn't know the secret. The secret is it's likely to fail. That's okay. Keep going. Right? And then it's one of the things. It's either the hook, the story, or it's either the hook, the copy, or the offer. It's one of those 3 things. Either the hook is bad, so they weren't reading the copy. The copy was bad, and they never got to the offer, or the offer sucked, so they weren't buying. And there's a way to check on those things, and you can track that. Okay. Week 11 is you got the making the offers, and making 100 offers. This is about setting yourself up to scale, right? So we've got this 100 offers that we're going to try to make, and then finally in week 12, we have the infinite marketing system, which is where you're going to go, what you're going to do after you've got all this stuff set up, so you can create all these different organic, all these different organic offers afterwards and maintain that organic conversation going forward. So that's where we're talking about the infinite marketing system. So that's everything. The resources, here's the success. Basically what we're doing, I've got 3 levels here. I've got group coaching, I've got one-to-one coaching, which also includes group coaching, which is the 12-week syllabus that I just talked about. And then there's an intensive. So I'm just going to kind of give you the overview on this. The group coaching includes a group, and I think everybody on here, with the exception of a couple of you, have access to the life and business blueprint. That is going to be uploaded to the life and business. The sessions are going to be recorded and they're going to be uploaded to the life and business blueprint. That is every course I have ever developed in that um, in that uh, um, in that course. Okay, so you have access to that, and that sells for 197 right now. So you would get that for free. Okay, you get all the group coaching calls, and you have an ability to message me. You can you ask questions during the sessions, but just understand group coaching is more about learning than it is anything else. Okay, the one-to-one coaching includes. Of course, it includes the coach, the course, the Life and Business Accelerator, which is every course that I have made and every course I will ever make is going to go in the Life and Business blueprint. So again, I'm just letting you know you'll have access to that, and that is the one-to-one coaching. And then the intensive is basically it's me in your pocket. Like you and I will be meeting often, like every day. And that's probably the fast track, especially if you've got things that you want to do before the end of this year. You might want to really consider the intensive. So let's look at pricing real fast. The group coaching is 297. That is it's one price, 297. Like I said, you'll also get the life and business blueprint with that, and that is access to the 12 weeks. And that is the group coaching price. The one-to-one coaching price is 1647. um, I think there was a misprint on one piece of marketing put out there, 1697, but 1647 is the one-to-one coaching price, and that is unlimited coaching with me. All I ask, just don't book more than one call at a time, right? So that generally the pace on that roughly works out to about once per week. If you are looking for an intensive, that's 49.97. I can only do 3 of those because it's a lot, and no offense, I am heading into the holidays and I don't want to be constrained too much by my phone. Generally, I have people that work with me if you're looking at that 49.97. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to share with you this calendar link right now. Let me stop the share real quick. So I'm going to put this link in the session or in the chat as soon as I figure out how to get back to there we go. So what I'm going to do with this is you guys are going to click on this link and fill out this. Give me one hot second here. There we go. So what you want to do is this get acquainted call. You're going to, there's this, and we'll send this out in an email as well. So if you are interested in the get acquainted, getting acquainted and you want to do this, go ahead and fill that out and you will have direct access to me. It'll take about 10 or 15 minutes to fill that out. And then you guys can, we can just go from there. So that is all I have. Thank you all for sticking around. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for now. I'm going to stop the video and I will send this out, but I'll stick around a little bit for anybody who has any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you guys down the road.